Hey, Richard Bryce here. Today, I want to help you develop a more consistent forehand. Look, we all want more power, we all want more spin, we all want the ability to step up and just destroy our opponents with amazing forehands. But the most likely reason that you're going to lose a point is because you make an unforced error off your forehand. So you have to think about consistency first. You've got to get to the ball and you've got to get it back in, and once you can do that on a consistent basis, then you start to develop the power and spin. So I want to show you two really simple things, simple keys to help you develop a more consistent forehand. I hope you find the video helpful. If you do, it'd be awesome if you give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Okay, so the first and the most important thing, if you want a more consistent forehand, is to make sure that you keep your head still and keep your eyes locked on that contact point through the moment of contact, like Federer does, like Daniil Medvedev does. I know it's not sexy, I know it's not glamorous, I know it's the old cliche of watching the ball onto your strings, but it's true. Coaches say it for a reason, because it's the most important part of consistency. At the end of the day, everything comes down to contact point, angle of the racket face at the moment of contact. Get everything else wrong, get this part right, you get the shot in. Get everything else right, this part wrong, the shot goes out. You've got to keep your eyes looking at that target through contact, because our visual system is our most dominant system. We do things more accurately when we look at stuff. It's just the way our bodies function. If you were going to pour yourself a cup of tea, you want to look at the cup that you're pouring the tea into. If you're looking at the TV or chatting to your friend or your family member as you pour the tea, you are much more likely to pour the tea all over the table. We can blame Dominic Thiem and Andy Murray for this, because they are ridiculous athletes that have won Grand Slam championships, and you see lots of images of them hitting forehands while looking down the other end of the court, and they hit amazing forehands while doing it. But you've got to understand, they are insane humans. They are not like me. I don't know how good you are, but I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you're more like me than them. So don't get deceived by them looking up the other end of the court. They can do that because they are ridiculous athletes. They've got amazing predictive capacities and visual systems. But for you, for me, for most players, including Federer, we need to keep our eyes locked on that target as we hit the ball. And you've just got to rep it out, practice it over and over again. If you miss a shot, either in practice or in a match, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, did I keep my head still on contact? So every time you miss a shot for the rest of your life, think, did I keep my head still on contact? If the answer is no, go back, focus on it, focus on it. And you literally have to demand this of yourself. You have to demand that you keep your head still, and you have to think about very few other things until you can do it. The way I think about things in my own game, and the way I encourage other people to think, like, you can only work on so much in one go. You can't think split step, unit turn, racket this, racket that. You've got maybe one or two things you can think about. So maybe I'm thinking about early preparation, maybe I'm thinking about my racket drop. Whatever the one thing is you're going to choose, awesome, work on it. But the second thing is always watching the ball onto the strings, keeping your head still. That's how important it is. And that's where things can get a little bit tricky for a lot of players, because in order to track the ball onto the strings and to keep your head still through contact, there's actually a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of different visual skills involved. And unfortunately, a lot of adult tennis players simply don't have a visual system that functions well enough to allow them to track the ball efficiently and to keep their head still every time, which is why I highly encourage you, in addition to the on-court work, to do a little bit of work on your visual system. To help you with that, I've created a free Tennis Vision starter program. I'll place a link up there, and I'll place a link down the description to allow you to get hold of this program. 5 or 6 drills, spend 5 or 6 minutes on it a day, in addition to the on-court work, and it is going to make a huge difference in terms of your consistency and your ability to keep your head still on contact. Okay, so we've talked about keeping the head still. The next thing that I want to talk about in terms of developing a more consistent forehand is the way that you practice. Now, you would think that this one would go without saying, that you want to practice being consistent, but it's my experience that a lot of people don't do that. I actually find it kind of mind-blowing the way people practice. There's a bit of context. I'm a right-handed player. I play at a certain level. I'm relearning to play left-handed, so I'm having an opportunity to play with players that I wouldn't necessarily have played against before. So kind of 3-5, 4-0, low-level 4.5 players. And what I've experienced from multiple different players is you'll be hitting, you'll be rallying, you'll be warming up, you'll be working on stuff, and they're just hitting it as hard as they can. Sometimes it goes in, Sometimes it goes out, and unfortunately it goes out at least as many times as it goes in, often more. So there's this situation where they're crunching the ball and hitting it out 3 or 4 times in a row. So when that's going on, I normally stop them like, okay, let's try and make 10 in a row. Well, let's try and make 20 in a row. And when I say that, they then start to hit the ball in, which kind of begs the question, well, what were they thinking about before that? Which is why my observation and belief is that a lot of adult tennis players just don't place enough emphasis. They don't step on the court with the right mindset of being consistent. So you need to do that. You need to make this a priority within your practice sessions. And the easiest way to do it is to set yourself a target of number of shots that you're going to hit. So maybe it's 10 shots, maybe it's 20 shots. So we're going to go, okay, we're going to go for 20 cross-court forehands in a row. The important part though, when you're doing this, is to stop. If you miss, stop. If your opponent misses and it lands an inch behind the line, stop and start it again, just like you would in a point, because you want to train that. You don't want to get into the situation where they miss by an inch. Because of that, you kind of miss by a couple of inches. Now you've had a few balls where no one's actually hit the ball in the court. You've got to train the mentality of consistency. It's got to be your number one priority, because if you hit the ball out, you lose the point. So you need to practice that way as well. So 20 shots is a good number to go for. Realistically, you won't ever play many points that last 20 shots in a rally. So if you can do it on a regular basis, you get with your practice partner and you know like 3 out of 5 rallies, you can make 20 balls in a row. That's good. That's going to be enough to allow you to beat most people. So you want to work on it that way. When you can do it kind of 3 out of 5 of every rallies, then you want to increase the pace. And then you want to develop the ability to do that. And then when you can do that regularly, then you want to develop the ability to do it at a faster pace. So over the a number of months, a number of years, realistically, you increase the pace of your rally ball so that you can just step out on court and it's an automated thing. You know that you're going to be able to make that ball over and over again, your head staying still, and it just leads to this positive cycle of consistency. Okay? Hopefully that all makes sense. Number one, always try and keep your head still on contact. It's just the way our bodies work. Definitely grab hold of that free Tennis Vision Starter program, because again, so many adult tennis players have things going on with a visual system that make all this stuff really hard. For the sake of 5 minutes in a day, it's going to make a world of difference in your game. And then I guess point number 3 is make sure that you practice with the intent of being consistent. Okay, hope you found this video helpful. If you did, it'd be awesome if you give me a thumbs up. Any questions, comments, leave them down below, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can.